excited because we have with us Dr. Rowe with us as a guest today. And
Hi,
thank you for
folks.
all of you who had a chance to attend the webinar last night. And you remember I shared with you that I have a special gift for you. And you guys have been so awesome through the whole webinar. The gift for you, apart from the ebook that I prepared for you, is having Dr. Rowe online with us. And I know he has
Ah,
to shoot off in exactly 10 minutes. So I'm just going to get straight
yes.
to the point. Dr. Rowe,
Yeah.
thanks for being with us. And there were close to almost 100 questions that came
Wow.
through from the
Wow.
participants of the webinar.
Oh my gosh.
Huge interest on how to generate more passive income,
Yeah,
especially in
yeah,
these
yeah.
times for the family. So how I think just grouping them into certain topics. One is, how do you even get started? How do you
Mm.
create passive income? Where does that come from?
Mm.
Some technical questions around legals, taxes, structuring ownership. How do I do it overseas? Questions on how much money do I need to start? What are some of the risks or mistakes that I could potentially make? And I love this one. How do I overcome the fear to start? What are some next steps I should take in order
Yeah.
to really build this passive income? And I know that you have literally, reached out or helped thousands and thousands of students all around the world,
Yeah.
helping them build their property portfolios, giving them the education, the tools necessary. And they've done so for myself and my family as well, which we're really grateful for. And
Thank
just
you.
wanted to ask you, hearing all these questions, what are some things that come to mind?
Yeah. So first of all, can I have permission? Look, I'm wearing my COVID look. Look at this. By the way, I do actually look a lot smarter than this for all the Singaporeans watching and the people in Hong Kong, whatever. Normally, I dress up a little bit more formal, but I'm kind of chilled. It's COVID and we're still semi-locked here. So I'm going to be raw. I'm going to be real, if that's okay, Daniel, in a
Of
respectful
course,
way.
yeah, that
Um,
yes,
so,
please.
so I think one of the things is that there's a lot of desire. I see a lot of people come in front of an event like you did last night. Well done, by the way, doing a webinar. Keeping that message out there. Whether they come and see a free presentation, or they come to a workshop that I might run, or they read a book, whatever it is, that there's genuinely an intention there. So I don't think you come to a webinar like last night, or you go to a presentation or read a book, unless you already have some level of intention. But intention doesn't mean that you will get results. So there's these sort of stages you have to go through in your readiness. For example, when I met you and Joe, your wife, you
Yeah,
not only came to a free presentation where I was in front of about 2,000 or 3,000 people, but there was a point in you where, and I call it the point of readiness, where you wanted more than just that. I think that's fair to say. Would that be fair to say? It wasn't just that you wanted
absolutely.
to watch for an hour and a half, but you needed something more substantial than that. But you needed to first of all find out, is this right for me? Do these strategies make sense? Could it work for me? Which is probably a question you were asking. And then, do I trust this person on the stage,
Yes,
this bald guy? I was bald at the time without my cap. And if so, I believe that this person's got enough information and knowledge. I want to learn. And then there's another step beyond that, which is, okay, I can't do it yet, but I need to learn it. So if you ask me honestly, I think the strategies are there. If people are sat on money and it's not working for them, they have to do something. But there is a single word that jumps out from what you're saying, and that is commitment. Commitment to
mm,
the actual vision, commitment to the dream, commitment to your family, commitment to just not
so
putting the
true.
words out there, but actually doing something behind the words. Because it's great you had 100 questions, and it's great that you got people excited. I don't know, for example, with your webinar, what happens next for people. I know if I go in
Mm,
front of an audience and I'm speaking to them, often they'll get an opportunity to go and be mentored, or to be coached, or to specialize. The ones that are committed realize that they've had education, they've gone and done degrees, they've got PhDs, they're lawyers, they're accountants, they're doctors, they're professionals. They understand that. And they
yeah.
also understand they need to commit to their wealth education. However, what I find is the ones that are looking for a free ride, or just dipping their toe in the water, or I just want to have a go at it. First of all, they're not committed. But secondly, they shouldn't go anywhere near property, because having a go at property will lose you hundreds of thousands of Singapore dollars if you're
True.
not educated. So I think and I'm being very direct with you, the big word would be commitment. How committed are you? And you've
Yeah,
got to kind of measure that yourself. We can't make that judgment. I can't make that judgment, nor can you.
true. And I think that really resonates, because like you said, when we met, years back now,
Yeah,
almost a decade ago,
it
and that
was.
when my wife and I went to, like I say, a free presentation, it wasn't just there for entertainment. We were
No,
there looking for a change in our life, and we knew
right.
that it was a point where we couldn't continue working this way, till 11 or 12, chasing the next promotion, and just working. Our relationship was taking a hit, and we knew that when we had kids, we wouldn't be present with our kids. So we were actually really committed, not just to attend a workshop or to learn to invest, but the end in mind was really creating a lifestyle where passive income could really free our time to pursue, really have time freedom, either in a career choice or to be with our kids, which is really what we have done with our lives now.
And
So
just to add to that, as an observer of human beings, I look for the language that comes out of people's mouths. The questions are a reflection of the beliefs and their focus. So for you, so when I first met you, there were people coming up and saying, "Oh, doctor, exactly where and exactly what property should I be buying?" And they were very detailed questions without even knowing anything about their strategy. They were trying to dig straight to the result. Whereas you came up and you were asking questions, "What are my next steps? What do I need to do to follow in the path that you did?" So you
yeah,
had a much different approach to this. It was like, I want to not make the same mistakes that other people have made, and I want to learn to do this properly. Whereas some people just wanted the instant result with one
yeah.
question being answered. And there's a big difference. And
Mm.
that's what I noticed in the way you communicated.
Yeah, and I think it's so true that if only it's actually the formula is pretty simple. Do whatever the people who are successful have done, and I know for you it's the same. When you started your journey, you got yourself educated, got yourself a coach, a mentor. Really study the subject, and not just study by reading books, because I mean, if books worked, the librarians would be financially free, right? But
Exactly.
people who have invested, people who have been there and done that. And I think that's what which is why I think I went up to you and I asked you exactly that question. When you were in my position, what was your
Yeah.
next step? That's something that I want to do
Yeah. Yeah.
immediately,
Yeah.
because I may not be where you're at now, but if I take that one step, two steps, in the right direction that you did, one day I'll end up where you are at.
And I think I asked you something along the lines of, okay, I'm happy to answer the question, but on a scale of 1 to 10, how committed are you? Because I can give you an answer, but that means nothing unless I know what your level of commitment was. Mine was a 10. So I can tell you
Yeah,
what I did. And you were like, your eyes were burning, you were ready to do it. It's like there was that, you
definitely
were
a
just
10.
chomping at
Yeah,
the bit. Yeah.
yeah.
So I think, on reflection to your question, it is really about commitment. If anybody's watching this now, and I don't know if anyone's watching that went to your webinar last night. I don't even know what the next steps were beyond the webinar. But if people came
Mm,
off that webinar, for example, and just went, "Oh, that was a nice webinar," and did nothing, then they're not really committed. What they are is interested. And there's a big difference. So
mm,
interested is a little bit like walking past a shop and looking in the window and saying, "I really want that Ferrari." But no, you don't. You're just interested in the Ferrari, but you don't have a commitment to it. Whereas committed is, what do I need to do to earn enough money to buy that Ferrari? What are the steps I need to do?
mm,
And let me take the first step, as opposed to just
yeah,
tipping in. And a lot of the time, if I'm really honest, Daniel, and I'll be honest with you, is two things. It's time and money. Most people say they're too busy, and most people say they're not prepared to put the money in. And yet what they'll do is they'll travel to work maybe half an hour to an hour a day, and that takes up 300 or 400 hours a year, and they tell me they're busy. Come on, if you can't spend time in your business, then you shouldn't even be having the conversation about it. And people will go and spend money on jewelry, watches, TV, going out and eating, thousands of pounds a year, but they won't spend a few hundred quid on learning a bit more about real estate or trading the stock market or whatever it is. There's something
yeah.
fundamentally different about their commitment. So, for me, it's a real passion subject, because I've seen so
Mm,
many people over the years lose opportunity by not making a commitment, and for their families, not even for themselves. It's about,
yeah.
for me, it's 100 and something thousand pound I've invested in my own personal development over the last 30 years. I've calculated something like that.
Mm, yeah.
And that's health, wealth, relationships, money, trading the stock market, property investing, digital products, etc. Each time I want to learn, I invest
Yeah.
in that subject.
For me, it's easily more than 50,000 Singapore dollars.
Right, there you go. So
Probably more
yeah,
actually. I think it's not the cost of it. It's, like you said, am I committed? Is my family worth it? Is spending time with my kids, watching them grow up, worth it? Is
Yeah,
me being in a career, or a job, or creating a business that I'm passionate about to help more lives, is that worth it? You can't put a price tag on that. And I
mm,
love what you said about, you can tell from the person's questions, because if it's important enough to them, if the people around them, if their dreams, their goals in life, and we spoke about being wealthy, dying rich. What does dying rich mean to you? It's not just money. If that goal at the end of your life is worth it, if it's important enough, you'll find a way. If it's
yeah,
not, you'll find an excuse. It could be, like you said,
correct.
time or money or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the brand isn't called Born Poor, Not Be Committed, Be Indecisive, and Die Rich. The brand is Born Poor, Be Committed, Be Decisive. And then, so
Yeah.
it's a tough one, because a lot of people don't want to hear this stuff. They want to get a solution. But if anyone watching this had been in let's say you're a lawyer right now, and I came up to you and I said, all right, so how did you solve that case there exactly? And you say to me, well, to get to that case, I had to learn this, 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 and this. Oh yeah, I don't want to learn that stuff. Show me how to learn the case. Yeah, but I need to understand that. I need to understand that. So people want a quick solution, and in property, it doesn't work that way. That's how people lose a lot of money from real estate. So, technically, if you said to me, what's something people can consider, it would be simple. Decide on what your strategy is that you want. Do you want to be a hands-off investor where you put money in and you get a return? That's one technical approach in terms of financially technical. Another one could be, I want to put money in and be a joint venture partner, where I find someone else that's doing it and I'll come in and I'll be joint venture with them. Another one might be that, okay, I like those strategies, I understand the strategies, I've learned the strategies, but now I'll pay someone to find me those deals, but I know how to qualify those deals now because I'm
That's
educated.
it.
And of course, the final one is, I will actually educate fully and go and do it myself. So, I mean, that,
That's
if you
right.
want a technical answer to the question, that's how I'd approach it.
Mm. And I think that's so true. And regards all the questions, and like you mentioned, you can tell even in the questions. So some people, when I ask them, what were your top two questions about property investing, and actually, quite what surprised me is quite a number of people put their NA, or I don't know. And actually, in hindsight, that's a very honest answer, because people don't
Yeah,
know what they don't know, right? But
that's true.
sometimes it might come out of fear, and what about this, and all the what ifs, and lots of questions. When it
Yeah.
comes from a point where perhaps the person hasn't committed, it's not a 10 upon 10 within, and they're maybe trying to convince themselves that they're committed, right, by
Yes.
throwing more questions. And
Yeah.
it's not about questions. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, this isn't to beat anybody up, but if somebody's watching this and they're starting to think, well, actually, maybe I need to make some decisions, go back to, it's about authenticity as well. If you're going to do this properly, partner up or team up or learn from people that you trust. So, I mean, over there in Singapore, and I'm sure you'll vouch for this, I've been over there many times, but you do get people from, for example, the States, often promoting properties over there. There are a lot of developments being sold. There's a lot of off-plan projects, etc. They're not really selling you on how to educate yourself and become responsible for your own investments. What they're doing is they are educating you by selling you properties. And you've got
Mm,
to decide what it is you want to buy. Do you want to buy the knowledge to become empowered, or do you want to buy the properties from someone else to be fed by that person? If you wanted both, then the bridge there is to educate yourself enough to know what properties to buy that someone else is finding for you. And I do that. I know you do that as well. So I have property sourced, you
absolutely.
have property sourced by specialists, but we know those markets and we are educated enough to ask the right questions. If I didn't,
Mm,
and as happened to me in the early years, I lost a lot of money. I lost about 40 or 50,000 pounds, about 100 Sing dollars, by doing it the wrong way in the early days. And I made a decision not. Lack of education
yeah.
is very expensive. I chose not to make that mistake again.
Mm.
I don't know if that answers your question.
Thanks
At
so much for your time,
4:01 here in
Dr.
the
O.
UK, I'm gonna have to go. Sorry, man. Hopefully, it
Yeah,
wasn't. It didn't
I know.
offend
And
anyone. It was just a direct, honest answer.
absolutely, and I think you really cut through all the the fog of all these questions, and really comes down to commitment. And you asked about what
Yeah.
happens next after the webinar, and I think it's really an opportunity for people to spend a day with me on a workshop, and for those who
Okay.
want a more
Well,
customized journey to come on
perfect.
coaching.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it's pretty clear, exactly what people who want to commit to their dreams, the people around them, what they need to do as a next step. And it's I think for me, I was really excited when I make that commitment. It was, yeah, I'm going to do this. This is the future I'm going to create, and bam, let's do it.
Can I make? I mean, obviously, I wasn't fully aware of this, so look, I'm limited on time. But if that was the case, I don't know if anyone else is going to watch this that was on last night, or if it's just new. But I think this is a personal suggestion to you because I've done this many times. When I speak in public, a lot of people try and contact me afterwards. They come through the website, they go to my PA, and they want quick and free answers. And my suggestion to you, as your friend, and also coming on live today, is be mindful of who you work with. So it's the other way around. It shouldn't be them choosing to work with you. It should be you feeling that you are comfortable working with them because they have to be committed. What I have done traditionally is I've offered something where I'll give people a short session, and that gives me a chance to qualify them. And maybe you could do that for the attendees that were there last night. Give them a chance to get a sense of whether you're right for them and they're right for you. And if they're committed, they should really be taking the next. If you're offering a workshop, it makes sense to me to go to it because you've bought so many properties. You can teach them stuff they don't know. So the time I know will be concentrated. And one thing about Daniel, for anyone watching, it's just loads and loads of value. So he gives a huge amount of content in a short space of time. That's me plugging you, by the way.
Yeah, I mean,
not that was intended because I'm now late for my meeting, but anyway.
Sure. I mean, for anyone watching this, is really in the heart. This is the steps that we took, and I think setting your minds on it,
don't even hesitate.
committing to something. Yeah. So I think that's us signing off from our heart to you. If you want to make this happen, make this a reality, make a commitment to yourself, to your education.
Okay, so I'm sorry, but I'm going to step in. How do they get hold of you? Because if somebody's watching, I mean, you just pulled me on quickly to do these questions, but if anyone's watching this, what do they do to get hold of you? How can they do that?
Just email me, daniel@bornfordirect.com.
Okay, cool. You should put the link in this video as well.
I'll do that. Yeah.
Because that question you've asked me, I've been asked on so many stages around the world, and it always comes back to that one word: commitment. It's like a relationship. Are we committed or not? Come on, let's do the next step.
Yeah,
Same
so
thing.
true. Thanks for your time, Dr. Roy. I don't want you to be late for your next meeting.
Blessings.
Thank you so much, and we'll see you soon. Take